The morning sky over the city of Nova was bright and clear. Children ran through the parks, vendors set up their stalls, and traffic moved in its usual rhythm. Mara, a young scientist working at the Earth Research Institute, stood on the rooftop of her building, looking through her small telescope. She loved the calm of the morning, the way the sunlight bounced off the glass towers. But today something felt different. Her eyes caught a tiny speck far above the horizon. At first, she thought it was a satellite, but it moved strangely. Faster than any satellite, yet slower than a shooting star. Mara frowned, adjusting the focus. The speck grew larger, growing in shape and size. Soon, the sky was filled with massive silver ships, each glimmering in the sunlight. People on the streets below stopped, staring upward, pointing, shouting. News alerts flashed across every screen. The words were simple, yet chilling: unidentified extraterrestrial vessels detected in Earth orbit. Panic began to rise, but Mara remained calm. She had studied space phenomena for years, and she knew this was unlike anything Earth had seen before. The largest ship hovered directly above the city. A hum vibrated through the air, a sound so low it made buildings tremble. A bright beam of light shot out from the ship, illuminating the streets. Then a voice echoed from the sky, clear and strong, speaking in perfect human language. "We come in expectation of your surrender. Earth, submit, and your destruction will be avoided." The message was short, arrogant, and full of confidence. Mara felt a chill run down her spine. The aliens were sure humanity would give in immediately. They had studied Earth, calculated human behavior, and believed us to be weak and divided. But Mara did not share their confidence. She looked around the city and saw people coming together. Families held hands tightly, neighbors shared supplies, and volunteers helped each other find shelter. Fear existed, yes, but so did courage. Something deep inside Mara stirred. Humans were unpredictable, and that unpredictability was their greatest strength. She rushed to the Institute's control room. Scientists and military officials crowded the space, their eyes glued to screens showing the alien ships. Drones from the alien fleet floated above, scanning the city with red lights. Mara tapped her fingers against the keyboard, trying to analyze the alien signals. Their technology was far advanced, she realized, yet it had patterns. Patterns that humans could learn from. Outside, sirens wailed. People ran for cover as small drones began landing, preparing for what everyone expected to be the start of an invasion. Mara watched, not with fear, but with focus. She knew that the first moments were critical. If humans reacted with unity and intelligence, there was a chance to resist. She thought of her friend Joro, a farmer from a distant village who had once shown her how clever human hands could be with simple tools. And Lena, a mechanic who could repair anything from engines to computers with speed and skill. Mara realized that ordinary people, not just armies, would play a role in what was coming. The hum in the sky grew louder. Then a beam of light shot down near the city square, raising clouds of dust and panic. People screamed and scattered. But Mara noticed something the aliens had not expected. Their ships moved slowly, their beams precise, but their reactions were measured and fixed. They calculated, but they did not improvise. That was humanity's advantage. Mara smiled faintly, a small spark of hope forming. If humans could be clever, fast, and unpredictable, they could survive this. They might even turn the tables. For the first time, the city seemed alive not just with fear, but with determination. People were organizing, helping each other, finding safe places, and watching the sky for signs of what would come next. Mara knew the real test was only beginning. The aliens had expected submission, but humans had something far stronger than fear. They had courage and creativity. As the ships hovered silently, waiting for Earth's response, Mara made a promise to herself. She would not let her world fall without a fight. Humans would show the universe that they were not a race to be calculated and defeated. The morning sun shone through the dust and smoke, reflecting off the alien ships. For now, the city was quiet, but the hum of the vessels reminded everyone that something immense had arrived. Mara took a deep breath, feeling both fear and excitement. Humanity's story was about to change forever, and she would be part of writing the first chapter of that change. The arrival was only the beginning. The city of Nova had barely recovered from the shock of the alien arrival when the first attack began. The morning was calm, but suddenly, the sky was filled with streaks of light. Alien drones descended, their metal bodies glinting in the sun. They moved in perfect formation, scanning the streets below with red sensors that made people freeze in fear. Mara stood on the rooftop of the institute, her heart pounding. She watched as one of the drones fired a beam at a nearby building. The structure shook violently, windows shattered, and dust filled the air. Citizens screamed and ran in every direction. Emergency sirens blared, but the human response was slow at first. Military vehicles raced through the streets, attempting to intercept the drones. Soldiers fired missiles and guns, but most weapons bounced harmlessly off the alien shields. Mara felt a mix of fear and determination. Humanity had never faced anything like this before, but she knew that humans had one advantage the aliens did not: creativity. She turned to her computer and began analyzing the alien patterns. Every time a drone fired, there was a brief pause before it could fire again. Its sensors were advanced but not perfect. Mara realized that if humans could act during that pause, they could strike back effectively. Outside, chaos ruled the streets. Lena, the mechanic, ran toward the city square with a group of volunteers. She carried a small device she had built using spare electronics. It was a simple jamming tool designed to confuse the alien sensors for a few critical seconds. The device was crude, but it could buy humans precious time. Meanwhile, Joro, the farmer, and his team had gathered supplies from nearby buildings. They used farming tools, construction equipment, and even cars as barriers. They set up traps in narrow streets, hoping to slow the drones down. Humans moved quickly, thinking of ways to turn ordinary objects into weapons. The first human counterattack surprised the aliens. A drone fired at a group of people, but Lena's jamming device caused its sensors to flicker. The drone hesitated, and in that moment, soldiers launched a concentrated attack. Explosions rocked the streets, and one drone fell, crashing into a building and scattering debris. Mara watched the events unfold with wide eyes. She realized that small victories could inspire hope. Humanity might be weaker in technology, but humans could think in ways the aliens could not. Improvisation, courage, and teamwork were weapons the aliens had not considered. The aliens quickly adapted, sending more drones to the affected streets. Their large ships hovered above, waiting for humanity to give in. But each attack only made the humans stronger. Volunteers carried injured people to safety, repaired damaged equipment, and communicated using improvised signals. The city that had been paralyzed by fear began to organize. Mara coordinated with other scientists through emergency networks. They shared information about the drones, their weaknesses, and their movements. Human knowledge spread quickly, and so did human courage. People who had never imagined fighting for survival now became leaders in small, critical ways. The first major strike from the alien ships came soon after. Beams of energy shot down, flattening several buildings. Dust and smoke filled the air, and the heat forced people to retreat. Mara shielded her eyes but continued to study the energy patterns. She noticed that the beams followed a straight path, and any obstacle large enough could block or deflect them. This was the opening humanity needed. Using makeshift barricades, Joro and Lena led small teams to shield civilians. Cars, metal sheets, and rubble became protective walls. Soldiers coordinated with volunteers, moving as one unit. The alien drones, despite their superior power, struggled against the unpredictable human tactics. Mara saw a spark of hope. Humans had no advanced weapons like the aliens, but they had something stronger, the ability to adapt. Every failed attack taught them something new. Every small victory gave them confidence. Every human who stood up against fear strengthened the entire city. By the end of the day, the city had suffered damage, but it was still standing. Alien drones were destroyed or disabled in many areas. People cheered when they saw survivors pull each other from the rubble. Mara realized that the battle was far from over, but humanity had made the first mark. They had resisted. As night fell, the alien ships hovered silently above the city, scanning for movement. Mara, Lena, and Joro met in a temporary shelter. They shared what they had learned, planning for the next day. Mara spoke with quiet determination. Humanity had survived the first strike. Now they needed to prepare for what was coming. Somewhere in the dark sky, the largest alien ship pulsed with light. It had expected an easy victory, but instead, it faced resistance it had never calculated. Mara understood that this was only the beginning. The aliens might have power, but humans had something the universe often overlooked: heart, courage, and the will to fight for survival. The night was tense, but hope burned in every human heart. Humanity had faced its first challenge, and it had not broken. Mara looked at the stars and whispered a promise. They would fight. They would survive. And they would show the universe that Earth was not a world to conquer easily. The first strike was over, but the war had just begun. The city of Nova had survived the first strike, but the streets were scarred with broken buildings, smoke, and chaos. Humans had resisted, but the aliens were still above, studying, calculating, and preparing for the next attack. Mara walked through the rubble, her eyes scanning for patterns, her mind racing for solutions. Humanity had survived by luck, courage, and quick thinking, but luck alone would not win the war. In the eastern district, Joro, the farmer, was helping a small group of children and their families move to a safer area. He had never thought of himself as a hero, but now, with each cautious step through the streets, he realized that ordinary people could make a difference. Lena, the mechanic, was already at work again, repairing damaged vehicles and assembling makeshift weapons from whatever parts she could find. Mara joined them, carrying notes and calculations she had made during the night. "The drones are fast," she said, "but they cannot think like humans. They follow patterns. We can use that to our advantage." Joro nodded. "Then we make the patterns work for us. We slow them down, we trap them, we fight them where they least expect it." The group began to move through narrow alleys and streets, setting traps and creating diversions. Lena attached small explosive charges to abandoned cars and trash containers. Joro and his team moved obstacles to force drones into predictable paths. Each action was simple, but it was clever and unexpected. Humans were learning to fight in ways the aliens could not predict. Suddenly, the hum of the alien drones filled the air again. They moved in groups, scanning for movement, their red sensors glowing ominously. But as they entered the traps humans had set, confusion spread among their ranks. One drone hesitated over a pile of debris, another crashed into a barricade. Mara smiled quietly. The aliens had power, but they lacked imagination. As the day progressed, more people joined the effort. Office workers, street vendors, students, and retired engineers all found ways to contribute. Each person added their knowledge, their skill, and their courage to the fight. Humans who had been ordinary just days ago were becoming heroes in small but significant ways. Joro led a small group toward a drone that hovered over a crowded street. Using ropes and pulleys, they pulled a large metal container, swinging it to knock the drone off balance. The drone spun wildly, crashing into a building and disabling several others nearby. Children cheered, and adults clapped, knowing that humans could indeed fight back. Meanwhile, Lena was modifying electrical circuits to create short bursts of interference. When drones flew too close, their sensors flickered, giving humans enough time to move or strike. Mara observed and noted the results, preparing for the next phase of their plan. It was a combination of science, courage, and improvisation, a truly human approach. The aliens realized they were facing resistance far greater than they had expected. They had calculated Earth's defenses and assumed humans would surrender quickly. But humans were unpredictable, adaptive, and resourceful. Each small human victory forced the aliens to recalculate, slowing their advance and frustrating their commanders. By evening, the city had not only survived, but humans had also begun to push back. Small groups organized themselves into teams. One group scouted the skies for drone patterns, another reinforced barricades, and another distributed medical aid to the wounded. Mara realized that this was more than survival, it was the beginning of a true resistance. In a quiet moment, Mara, Joro, and Lena met near the city square. Smoke rose from damaged buildings, and the hum of alien ships echoed overhead. Mara spoke with determination. "We are learning faster than they can adapt. Every trap, every diversion, every small victory matters. We can win if we stay smart, fast, and united." Joro wiped sweat from his forehead and nodded. "We may be ordinary people, but together, we are strong." The aliens expected fear. They got courage. Lena smiled, tightening the last screws on a jamming device. "It is not the machines alone that matter. It is the humans using them. And we are not giving up." As night fell, the city lit up with fires and signals, both for warning and for communication. Humans had shown their first true signs of organized resistance. Mara watched from a rooftop, her eyes on the horizon where the alien ships hovered like silent giants. The drones were still dangerous, but humanity had begun to fight back with intelligence, teamwork, and ingenuity. The first strike had scared humans, but the resistance inspired them. Ordinary people became leaders, scientists became strategists, and every small act of courage built a larger story of hope. Mara knew that the aliens had underestimated Earth's greatest weapon, its people. Somewhere above, the alien ships pulsed with light, observing the chaos below. They had expected submission, but instead, they were met with determination, adaptability, and a fighting spirit unlike any they had encountered. Mara understood that the war would be long, but humans were proving that they were not easily defeated. The night was tense, but for the first time, hope outshone fear. Humanity was not just surviving. Humanity was beginning to fight back, one clever act at a time. The city of Nova was no longer just a place of fear and destruction. It had become a symbol of human courage and ingenuity. Mara moved carefully through the streets, observing the patterns of the alien drones. She had spent the last few days analyzing their behavior, mapping their movements, and calculating weaknesses. Humanity had survived the first attacks, and now it was time to strike back in a way the aliens could not predict. Joro and Lena were busy with preparations. Joro had gathered materials from abandoned buildings, while Lena worked on modifying small devices to interfere with alien technology. Together with other volunteers, they created traps, barricades, and makeshift weapons. Each obstacle was simple, but it forced the alien drones to slow down, giving humans more time to act. Mara gathered her small team in the city square. "The aliens are strong," she said, pointing to the sky where the massive ships hovered, "but they are not creative. They follow patterns, and patterns can be broken. We can use our environment against them." The plan was daring. Mara had observed that the aliens relied on clear lines of sight and energy beams to attack. Cities were dangerous for humans, but forests, rivers, and mountains could be used as natural barriers. By drawing the drones into traps near water, cliffs, and forests, humans could strike effectively and safely. Joro led a team to the river that ran through the northern district. They arranged large nets, weighted with stones and metal, to catch drones as they flew low. Lena set up small devices that could emit short bursts of electromagnetic interference, confusing the drone's sensors. Volunteers hid behind rocks and trees, ready to strike with improvised weapons when the drones approached. The first wave of drones arrived, descending on the northern district as expected. Mara watched through binoculars from a high point. The drones moved quickly, scanning for humans, but the traps worked perfectly. One drone flew into a net and struggled, another's sensors were blinded by Lena's device, and several were forced into narrow passages where humans could attack with relative safety. Humans cheered as the drones crashed, one by one. Small victories inspired greater courage. The aliens had expected submission, but instead, they faced ingenuity and resilience. Mara knew that the fight was still dangerous, but the tide was beginning to turn. In the city center, civilians and volunteers worked together to reinforce buildings and set up signals to warn each other of incoming drones. Communication was key. Mara coordinated teams, instructing them to move quickly and strike at critical points. Joro's traps and Lena's devices were already creating confusion among the alien ranks. As the day continued, humans became bolder. Small teams attacked drones in synchronized strikes. The aliens had advanced technology, but humans had unpredictability. Every trap, every diversion, and every clever tactic slowed the invaders and forced them to retreat. Mara realized that Earth's greatest weapon was not machines or weapons, but human creativity and courage. The aliens responded with larger attacks. Massive beams of energy cut through streets, and more drones poured from the ships above. Mara and her team were ready. Using their knowledge of the environment, they guided the aliens into areas where buildings and natural terrain created obstacles. One drone crashed into a narrow alley, another was trapped near a small hill, and several more were disabled by electromagnetic bursts. By evening, the humans had forced the aliens to retreat temporarily. Smoke rose from damaged drones, and cheers erupted from volunteers and citizens. Mara, Joro, and Lena gathered at a high point overlooking the city. They were exhausted, but proud. Humanity had survived again and had begun to fight on its own terms. Mara looked at the alien ships hovering in the distance. They pulsed with light, observing, calculating, and perhaps learning that humans were more dangerous than they had expected. Mara spoke softly, but with determination. They think their power is enough. They do not understand that humans are unpredictable. That is why we can win. That is why Earth cannot be conquered so easily. Joro placed a hand on her shoulder. We have started something bigger than survival. We are showing them that humans will not yield, that we fight with everything we have, even when we seem weak. Lena adjusted her devices, preparing for another wave. Every strike teaches us something new. Every trap makes them slower. Every victory, no matter how small, brings hope. Night fell, and the city of Nova glowed with the flicker of fires and the quiet hum of human activity. Humans were still recovering, repairing, and planning, but they had learned a vital lesson: they could turn their environment into an advantage, and they could strike back effectively. Above the city, the alien ships pulsed and shimmered. They had underestimated Earth's people, assuming that fear would break them. Instead, they faced courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Mara knew the aliens would return, stronger and smarter, but so would humanity. The city slept cautiously, but hope burned brighter than fear. Humans had learned that the universe could be challenged, that even the most powerful invaders could be resisted with clever thinking and courage. Mara looked to the horizon and smiled faintly. Earth had survived, and humanity had begun to turn the tide. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, humans were not just defending themselves. They were fighting back, using their minds, their skills, and the very planet they called home. The sun rose over Nova, casting light on a city still scarred from the alien attacks. Smoke drifted from the ruins, but humans were already moving. The first strikes had taught them lessons. Now, they would take the fight to the aliens. Mara stood on a rooftop, her eyes scanning the sky. Drones still hovered above, but the humans were ready to push back with a plan that combined courage, skill, and intelligence. Joro and Lena gathered volunteers in the streets. Ordinary citizens had become soldiers, strategists, and engineers. Farmers, mechanics, students, and office workers all had a role. Each had learned from the first strikes. Each had grown braver and sharper. Mara spoke to the group. We know their patterns. We know how they think. Today, we strike back. Not just to survive, but to show them that Earth is not a world to conquer easily. The first target was a drone control unit near the northern district. Joro led a team to approach it quietly. They moved through alleys, hiding behind debris and barricades. Lena's jamming devices flickered in their hands, ready to confuse the alien sensors. Mara coordinated from a high vantage point, guiding them through radios and hand signals. As the humans approached, a drone appeared, scanning the street. Lena activated her device. The drone's sensors blinked and faltered. Joro signaled the team, and they moved forward. With ropes, pulleys, and careful timing, they toppled the drone into a pile of rubble. Other drones arrived, but humans used every advantage: narrow streets, barricades, and coordinated attacks. Within minutes, the drone control unit was destroyed. The victory inspired more volunteers. Teams moved across the city, targeting alien equipment, disabling drones, and protecting civilians. Mara watched the results on her monitors. Each successful strike created confusion among the aliens. They were powerful, but they could not predict human creativity and teamwork. Meanwhile, Lena and her group prepared a larger trap. Using abandoned vehicles, metal sheets, and electromagnetic devices, they created a corridor designed to channel drones into a controlled area. When the aliens arrived, they expected humans to panic. Instead, humans had planned and prepared. The drones entered the corridor and were trapped. One by one, they were disabled or destroyed. Cheers rose from the hidden humans as they realized their strategy had worked. Joro led another team to capture alien energy supplies. These supplies powered drones and small weapons. Using clever tactics and stealth, they seized the materials and set small charges to prevent reuse. Mara observed from above, impressed by the coordination and bravery of ordinary people. Humans were turning simple objects into powerful tools, and every victory added to their confidence. By midday, the city had gained ground. Alien drones had been damaged, key supply points destroyed, and civilians protected. Mara realized that humans were not just defending, they were taking control of the battlefield. The aliens had expected quick surrender, but humans were fighting back with intelligence and courage that the invaders had not calculated. The largest alien ship pulsed above the city, sending signals to the remaining drones. It had expected the humans to retreat, but instead, they had advanced. Mara noticed a pattern in the ship's signals. It adjusted its drones, trying to adapt to human strategies. But humans had one advantage the aliens could not match: unpredictability. Every move was creative, unplanned, and adaptive. As the afternoon progressed, humans launched simultaneous attacks across multiple districts. Teams disabled drones, destroyed control units, and saved civilians trapped in dangerous zones. Mara coordinated with Joro, Lena, and other leaders. Communication, observation, and fast decision-making made the humans more effective than ever. Finally, the humans concentrated on a group of alien ships attempting to regroup near the city outskirts. Using everything they had learned, they created a trap with fires, barricades, and electromagnetic bursts. Drones flew into the trap and were quickly disabled. The humans pressed their advantage, forcing the remaining drones to retreat. By evening, Nova was still standing, and humans had proven something extraordinary. They had fought back, not only defending their city but gaining control of the battle. Mara, Joro, and Lena met at the city square, exhausted but proud. "We did it," Joro said, looking at the damaged drones scattered around. "They thought they could conquer us easily. They did not know humans can think, adapt, and fight together." Lena adjusted her device, smiling. "Every victory matters. Every small step counts. Today, we showed them that Earth is not a world to take lightly." Mara looked at the sky, where the massive alien ship hovered, pulsing with light. "This is only the beginning. They will return, stronger. But so will we. Humanity has learned to fight with courage, intelligence, and teamwork. We will not yield." Night fell over Nova, but hope burned brighter than ever. Humans had turned their first victories into momentum. They had become more than survivors. They had become a force the aliens had underestimated. Mara, Joro, and Lena knew that the war was far from over, but humanity had shown its strength. The counter-offensive had begun, and for the first time, the aliens faced a challenge they could not easily calculate. Humans had taken control of the battlefield, proving that courage, creativity, and determination could overcome even the most powerful invaders. Nova slept cautiously, but with hope in every heart. Humanity had fought back, and the story of Earth was changing. The war was far from finished, but humans had begun to write a new chapter, one where they were not just defending their world, but showing the universe that Earth would never be conquered easily. The sky over Nova burned red with the light of alien ships. After days of small victories, humanity now faced the largest and most dangerous attack yet. The aliens had regrouped, sending waves of drones and energy weapons, determined to crush the humans once and for all. Mara stood on a high rooftop, her eyes scanning the horizon. She could feel the tension in the air, but also the courage that had grown in every person around her. Joro and Lena moved through the streets, organizing volunteers and soldiers. Barricades were reinforced, traps were ready, and communication lines were clear. Civilians had been moved to safe zones, but many remained to support the defenders. The city was alive with determination. Every person knew this could be the defining battle for Earth. Mara spoke to her team calmly. They are strong, but predictable in some ways. They cannot fully understand us. If we work together, use every trick, every strategy we have learned, we can hold them and strike back. Today, we do not only defend, we fight to win. The first wave of drones came from the largest ship hovering above. Beams of energy cut through streets, shattering walls, and sending debris flying. Humans responded with precision. Lena activated electromagnetic devices that disrupted the drone's sensors. Volunteers pulled down barriers to force the drones into narrow streets where Joro's teams could attack safely. The aliens had power, but humans had creativity. Mara coordinated strikes from above, guiding teams through radios. Every move was calculated, yet flexible. Humans adapted to the changing battlefield. When one plan failed, another was ready. Civilians who had never fought before carried supplies, repaired equipment, and even distracted drones to help soldiers strike. Every small act mattered. The alien ships unleashed larger attacks, targeting key human positions. Buildings shook under powerful energy blasts, but humans had prepared. They used debris and terrain to block attacks, creating safe zones and escape routes. Mara noted that the aliens relied on straightforward assaults, but humans thrived on unpredictability. Every clever tactic slowed them down. Joro led a daring strike against a drone control hub. Using ropes, pulleys, and makeshift explosives, his team disabled key units, causing confusion among the alien drones. Lena guided small teams to disable weapons systems on smaller ships, while Mara coordinated attacks that forced the aliens into traps across the city. Humans were no longer just defending, they were taking control of the battle. The largest ship pulsed with light, sending its own elite drones to respond. Mara realized this was the moment that would decide the battle. She gathered her leaders and volunteers. We need a bold plan. One that hits them where they least expect it. We have learned their weaknesses. Now we strike together and force them to retreat. Using knowledge of the city, the teams created a massive trap. Drones were funneled into narrow streets lined with jamming devices, explosives, and barricades. As the elite drones advanced, humans struck from every direction. Electrical bursts disabled sensors, improvised weapons forced crashes, and explosions damaged the fleet. The aliens had expected resistance, but not this level of intelligence and coordination. Joro moved quickly to pull down a large metallic container, swinging it into a group of drones. They crashed into each other, creating chaos among the alien ranks. Lena activated a powerful electromagnetic pulse, temporarily disabling several drones. Mara watched from above, noting the effectiveness of human creativity against advanced technology. Despite their power, the aliens were struggling. Their calculations had not prepared them for human unpredictability. They adapted slowly, while humans reacted instantly. Each team reinforced others, sharing information, moving where needed, and striking with precision. The tide of the battle began to turn. Finally, Mara observed the flagship beginning to respond. It hovered above the city, pulsing with light, as if sensing the humans' defiance. Mara knew this was the moment. She directed teams to focus all energy on the flagship, using every device, trap, and human skill available. Drones were drawn into traps, weapons systems overloaded, and the flagship's shields weakened. With a coordinated strike, humans launched their final attack. Explosives, electromagnetic pulses, and clever tactics worked together. The flagship faltered, its massive structure trembling. Mara watched as the enormous alien vessel was finally forced to retreat, leaving behind a fleet of disabled drones and scattered ships. The sky over Nova was quiet, broken only by the cheers of humans and the distant hum of retreating ships. The aliens had been defeated, their greatest assault turned back by ordinary humans who had become extraordinary through courage, intelligence, and teamwork. Joro, Lena, and Mara met in the city square, surrounded by volunteers and citizens. They were exhausted, but their eyes shone with pride. "We did it," Joro said, looking at the distant sky. "They thought we would surrender, but we fought, and we won." Lena smiled, adjusting her device. Every person mattered today. Every act of courage made a difference. We showed them that humans cannot be predicted or broken. Mara looked around at the people who had defended their city, their planet, and their future. This is only the beginning. We have proven that humanity is strong, clever, and united. The universe will remember that Earth is not a world to conquer easily. Night fell over the city, calm but alive with the sound of recovery and quiet celebration. Humanity had faced its greatest test and had not only survived, it had triumphed. Mara, Joro, Lena, and countless others knew that the war might continue, but Earth had shown its true power. Humans were a force to be respected, feared, and remembered. The battle had ended, but the legend of humanity had begun. The sky over Nova was calm at last. The alien ships had retreated, leaving behind only wreckage and silence. For the first time in days, humans could breathe without fear of beams or drones raining down from above. Mara stood on a rooftop, looking at the city below. The streets were damaged, buildings were broken, but people were moving. They were alive, and they were victorious. Joro walked beside her, his clothes torn and hands scratched from the battles, but his eyes were bright. Lena followed, carrying her devices and checking that nothing was left active. "We did it," Joro said simply. "They expected Earth to fall easily, but we showed them what humans are made of." Mara nodded. "They thought their power alone could defeat us. They did not understand our greatest weapon is not technology. It is courage, creativity, and the will to survive." In the streets, ordinary people were helping one another. Volunteers lifted rubble, firefighters put out lingering fires, and medics tended to the wounded. Even children assisted where they could, bringing water, blankets, or messages between teams. Humanity had survived the most powerful attack the planet had ever faced, and they were already rebuilding. The aliens had come expecting submission, but they had underestimated Earth and its people. Their ships, advanced and powerful, had been destroyed or forced to retreat. Their technology, unmatched in many ways, had been no match for human adaptability. Every trap, every clever tactic, every act of courage had brought the aliens closer to defeat. Mara, Joro, and Lena gathered in the city square. They looked around at the citizens who had fought, survived, and supported one another. The air was filled with relief and pride. "We fought together," Mara said. "We proved that humans are strong, intelligent, and fearless. That is why we survived." Joro smiled. "And not just survived. We defeated them. Today, humans became a force even the universe must respect. Our courage turned the tide, and our determination saved the world. Lena adjusted a device she had used to confuse alien drones. Every person mattered. Every small action, every clever idea, every brave decision contributed. We are stronger together than any alien calculation could imagine. News of the battle spread quickly. Across the world, humans celebrated. Cities that had suffered attacks sent aid to each other. Governments, armies, and civilians realized something extraordinary: humanity had not only survived, but had triumphed against invaders who had believed themselves unstoppable. The aliens would not return immediately, but the memory of Earth's resistance would spread through the stars. Mara understood that humanity had begun a story that no alien could erase. Humans were no longer merely inhabitants of a planet, they were defenders of a world that refused to surrender. Joro looked at the distant horizon, where smoke still rose from destroyed alien ships. They came expecting to conquer. They left knowing humans cannot be conquered. Mara smiled. And they will remember. Humanity has learned that courage, intelligence, and creativity are as powerful as any weapon. We are unpredictable, and that makes us unstoppable. The people of Nova continued to rebuild. Streets were cleared, basic services restored, and temporary shelters set up. Volunteers shared food, water, and medical aid. Even in the ruins, hope flourished. Mara walked through the city, seeing families reunited, neighbors helping one another, and children playing cautiously among the rubble. Humanity had survived not just through weapons, but through unity. At night, the city square glowed with small fires and lights. Humans gathered to remember the fallen and celebrate the victory. Mara, Joro, and Lena stood together, watching the stars. Above, the alien fleet was gone, but the memory of their arrogance remained. The humans of Earth had proven themselves capable of incredible courage and strength. Today is a victory, Mara said softly. But it is also a promise. We will continue to grow stronger, to learn, and to protect our world. The universe will know that humans are not weak, that Earth is not easy to conquer. Joro nodded. We have shown the universe the true power of humanity. We fought with everything we had, and we won. Nothing will ever make us yield. Lena added, this is only the beginning. Humans will rebuild, improve, and grow stronger. Every challenge will be met with courage, every threat with determination. We are a force that cannot be predicted or broken. The city slept under a sky free of alien shadows. Humanity had survived the greatest threat it had ever faced. Scarred but unbroken, they had triumphed through intelligence, courage, and unity. Mara, Joro, Lena, and countless others had not only defended their home, they had created a story that would inspire generations. The universe had learned a lesson: humans were not a race to be underestimated. They were brave, creative, and unyielding. Earth had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. The battle had ended, but the legend of humanity had only begun. Mara looked at the stars, feeling hope and pride. The war was over for now, but humanity's spirit would continue to shine. They had survived. They had fought. They had triumphed. And the universe would never forget it.